Hello there, welcome aboard my narrowboat home, the Naughty Lass. Today we're going to travel along the Huddersfield Broad canal, which is 3 3/4 miles long and 9 locks to take on, one of which I'm going to show you in detail how I do it as a single-handed narrowboater. I don't mean I've got one hand, I just mean that I'm on my own. Anyway, there's also a lift bridge to contend with and just some general info about the area. Starting with the pub of the week in Huddersfield. So let's head down to the train station in the heart of the town to find out a bit more. If you're by the station and you need a pub, I do recommend the King's Head over the Head of Steam, just because it's better kept, I think, and they've got a wider selection of beers. I think it's actually a little bit more friendly as well. And if the King's Head isn't lively enough for you, you can always pop along to the Parish, which is a rock metal bar with loads of good vegan drink and food options. And if you want to explore the canal itself, a lot of it is hidden away. So if you just head out from the centre, down, look for the Sainsbury's, which is over here, and the university buildings, that you're in the right area. So this is Splay Wharf. This is where you have to pay to moor here, I'm afraid, but there are free moorings if you carry on that way, or if you stop at the university. I found out that a lot of these moorings here are actually 72 hours free, and then you have to pay the marina, so I think you have to keep going a little bit further to find some visitor moorings that you can stay for free. But yeah, it seems like a good place to stay, loads of boats and a good community. And as I take my boat around the back of Sainsbury's, I can see directly ahead of me an unusual sight on the waterways. This is a proper lift bridge. It doesn't tilt upwards, it literally lifts in place. Called the Turnbridge Locomotive Bridge. Now, once upon a time, this bridge was operated by windlass, and it would have taken a long time, I think. Thankfully, it's all electric nowadays, so I should be able to get through this on my own, no problem. As the bridge lifts in place, you can see behind that there's some cars turning round and zooming off another way, but some are staying to watch the spectacle with me. This one is pretty unique. I've never seen a bridge like this where it literally just lifts up. Amazing. Cheers, mate. Cheers. Right, here we go. Closed bridge. Yeah, I don't mind that one because that bridge allows you to walk back over the side, so you don't have to worry about mooring on that same side. I've got 24 locks to do so I'm moving from Huddersfield to Sowerby Bridge, and that's going to take me via the Calder and Hevel navigation, which I've never been on before. So yeah, I really want to share the experience with you. How nice of me, eh? But I've only got 4 or 5 days to complete the journey, and that might sound like more than enough time, but the way I mess about with my vlogging, it does take a little bit longer, and yeah, just allow for any problems, and also to get my laundry done. So yeah, better crank it. Right, just coming up to the first of 9 locks. And although there's some hills ahead of us, we are going down to the river to pray. We're not going to pray. Well, hopefully we won't have to. Not only do you have to watch out for other boats coming the opposite way or following you into the lock, you've also got to watch out for wildlife, and I do notice a lot of ducks and swans, all of which really enjoy fishing in and around the locks for whatever scraps they can get. Luckily these young mallards stayed outside the lock and didn't follow me in, so I didn't have to worry about them getting in the way. I've recently been asked how I tackle a lock on my own, so I thought I'd break it down a little bit for you here. Right, step one, check the lock itself, open the ground pedals, but first I've got to use this, which is a security key. You have to use them quite a lot around these parts because they're like vandals and that, although I still can't work out who would vandalise, who would actually be a vandal and have one of these. I think that's stretching it. Anyway, so I've got to undo that, and then I can remove this, hopefully. Oh, it's finally moving. There we go. And then I've got access to the spindle there of the ground paddle, and I'll just open that, get some water in. Ugh. But as you can see, there's quite a lot of leakage in this lock, so yeah, shouldn't take long to fill this one. And then step two, I've opened the paddles on the actual gates as well. This angle is captured from my iPhone, right at the end of the gate. And normally I've got it on my person, vlogging myself, and as a microphone that plugs in. Can you see it? It's just fallen down. And because the makers of this microphone haven't developed a Bluetooth version, I'm just gonna have to put up with it for now. Step three is to open the gates. I think I'm just going to open one, and it's going to be this side, so I can bring the boat in here and just moor up on that side. The ladder is slightly closer to where the back end of the boat is. That's what I'm thinking. Okay, so this is me coming into the lock in my boat, and if you watch out for that gate there that's currently in the closed position, you'll see it open slightly as I go past it. That's just sometimes what happens. So I will have to close that again. I'll have to close both gates. So sometimes you might as well open both of them anyway. You're supposed to use the boat's engine to slow the boat to a halt, but in doing so you can find that the boat drifts out a little bit. So unlike me, always have your centre line ropes to hand at the back. I normally do, but for this video, obviously, I decided to give myself a bit of a challenge. So here I have to walk all the way along the gunnel, which I've actually painted with like a non-slip surface, thankfully. And yeah, here we go. I'm very happy about this. Here's my rope, and I can jump off. When tying the line for your boat, sometimes you'll have to tie it with a knot, sometimes you'll have to just wind it around a ladder like this. There's so many different ways, and it's almost a whole nother vlog to explain it. While I'm on this side, I'm going to drop these paddles as well. That one-handed. Put that back in, and I've just got to screw it back so these two don't come apart. Step four is to now close the gates. It can sometimes be difficult to operate lock gates, but here you can see I'm just using my weight to pull the gate back, and then again just leaning on it. That's the easiest way to open a lock gate. It's just to put your back into it. Now, due to the wind sometimes, or the gates not being balanced enough, these ones won't shut until I start letting water out of the lock. So here we go, here's the moment where the gates are now closing because I'm letting all the water out the other side. The problem I've got, however, is that I'm trying to tie my rope to the middle part of the lock, and I can't because there's no bollard or whatever it's called to tie off onto. Another danger is you don't want to get too close to the back of the lock for obvious reasons, like you don't want to catch on the sill as it's going down, and you don't want to get the rudder stuck in the middle of the lock gate. It's not cool, guys. Anyway, so now my boat's drifted all the way over. I can just get off this ladder here instead. Ugh. It'd probably be much easier if I didn't try and film everything as I was doing it. The water's level, so I've got to open these gates here. Or just one. I could probably squeeze in here. As long as I'm not going to be damaging that part of the lock, the mitre or whatever it's called on the edge there, because that's where the seal gets widened. That's where you get the leakage, because lots of boats just ram it and damage them. So perhaps I might open this one this time. And there we go, that's plenty of room for me. I've still got to come back for the final steps, which are to drop the paddles. Don't have to worry about the security bits on this side because there aren't any. It was just on the top gates. So drop the paddles and then shut the gate, and then I can get back on my boat over there and carry on and not have to film this sequence again. One of my least favourite things about doing locks on my own is this part, mooring up after you've been through the lock to go back and shut the gates. But it's got to be done as a courtesy to other boaters. Right, now I've only got to do that another 7 times, and then I've finished this 3 3/4 mile canal. Easy. This lock's actually got the paddle missing on this one. Some boaters tell me it's because the CRT, the Canal and River Trust, come along and take it out and just basically get rid of it if it's not working. I know we're strapped for cash on these canals, but surely they wouldn't do that, would they? Right, made it through most of the locks, just got one more left to go, but this one leads on to the river. Right, so this is the last lock of the Huddersfield Broad canal, so that's 3 3/4 miles done, and now we're on to the River Calder. There's a weir here that I've got to avoid, obviously, and myself, Holly and Rory, who are on their boats there, we're going to go over this way. So the next leg of the journey on the Calder and Hebble will see me trying to work out the unique paddle system on the locks they've got there, and head up to Brighouse to check that place out, and also Sorby Bridge as well. But before I go, I want to give some special shout outs to people that have just joined my Crankit crew. In fact, these guys have been Crankit crew members since November, so thank you to the following people for supporting these videos. First up, we've got Ian Harbour, then Ali O'Connor, Jonathan and Karen Warren, JP Reardon, and Steve Cosgrove. Thank you all so very, very much for basically funding this lifestyle that I've got on board, because I don't have any money coming in from anywhere else at the moment. So yeah, so appreciative, and thank you so much for joining the Crankit crew. Hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.